There's like three that really stand out, but the top
Yeah.
one for me is always going to be Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf forever and ever. He's
Yeah.
like there was never bad content with that guy.
Happened in the 90s.
And also, I've seen like there's a, you know that have you ever heard of a podcast called You Might Be Garbage?
No.
It's
You
just
listen
like
to all the podcasts I've never heard of.
yeah, it's pretty popular, but it's just like two comedians. I think they're from Philly, but they just they fuck around with people and do interviews basically and see if you're garbage. But one of
How do
them
they
was,
determine that?
I mean, just anything. I mean, you can
Yeah.
like, did you drink Fago regular? They just it depends on the guest, but they
Oh.
have like they have criteria that they bring to the table, and they determine whether or not you're garbage or not. So
And who the hell are they?
they're admittedly garbage. So I mean,
Oh,
you
okay.
know, I mean, they're not trying to say they're not.
So they takes when to know one, that whole thing, huh?
I mean, they just interview comedians and stuff, but one of them, super fat, he started taking it, but he said he had to stop because not because he was feeling sick or anything, but he was burping, and the burps, the smell that was coming out of his body would clear a room.
Nasty bitch.
And he said it was just happening multiple times a day. And he, like, even his wife was like, we got to do something about this. This is disgusting. Like, he said it smelled like actual, like, shit was coming out of his mouth
Oh, dude,
from a burp.
that's a thing.
That's nasty, dude. I'm not sure. I mean, I like it. Just sounds like it fucks. No matter what, it's just fucking your brain up. Like some people get like real sick. Some people it doesn't really do anything. It just, you know, it does what it's supposed to do. But man, I just don't think you should be doing that unless you really like. They're like, you got to lose weight or you're gonna die. If you're on that level, maybe that should, you know, be the thing to do. But if it's going to putrefy your insides, I don't know. That seems kind of like a fucked up choice.
But even in those cases, those people are still going to die because you get that surgery because you're forced to. You kind of have no choice, but you're not changing your habits. Those people will still be eating like Salisbury steaks for breakfast.
Well, that's why Ralphie May died. He got that lap band surgery and he ate his way out of the lap band surgery. It just like broke the band. You know what I'm saying?
That's kind of how that works, man. And
it's crazy.
Yeah, R.I.P. to him. I was never really big on dude. No pun intended.
Me neither. I thought he was corny.
Hey, man.
There's certain white guys that just like, you know, I think it's because he was big, but he just got to say like kind of low key racist shit on stage and stuff a lot. So it's just like, all right, dude. I guess you get a pass because nobody wants to touch you or fucking do anything to your morbidly obese ass.
You gonna do pick on the fat kid?
It's like just a bad look no matter what. But yeah, it seemed like the stories I hear of him is like how good he was to other comedians and friends. That's cool. So respect for Big Dog on that. But yeah, as far as his comedy goes, I can give two shits.
Yeah, man.
But rest in peace. You know what?
R.I.P. though. R.I.P. though. So, man, not too long ago, the anniversary of the first Howard Stern show.
God,
happened,
so many
man.
great nights, Steve.
So many great nights. And yeah, man, with that being said, do you have a favorite Whack Pack member?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, there's like three that really stand out, but the top one for me is always going to be Hank the Angry Drunken Dwarf forever and ever. He's like, there was never bad content with that guy, you know?
Why don't you go fuck Jesus Christ?
Go have sex with your mother.
Oh, she was great bet.
He'd always be like pissing his pants. He'd be like, Hank, what are you drinking? He'd have like a bottle, like a 7-Up bottle, but it's just all of like vodka. And that's tragic. I mean, the guy was an alcoholic, but you know what? He was having a great time, dude.
Being him, he died doing the thing he loved.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Mine would have to be Beetlejuice, man. I feel like he's the GOAT.
Yeah, It's one or
He's
two. I mean, he's still alive and creating content, and I mean,
yes.
to be honest, I think he became like more of a well-known celebrity. I guess you could
Mhm.
say he was in Scary Movie. I know
Who me?
that.
Who me?
Beetle, come on, man, shut up. Man. When he would be all pissed off and in a bad mood, that was the best.
Yes. I'll never forget the one with Gilbert Godfrey. That's probably one of my favorite Beetlejuice. That's one of my favorite Howard Stern show moments, man, on the E Network. Like, there's too many to pick from. Like,
Oh, dude. I mean, that show, it was crazy how much they did show on that. Cause I mean, you got to think back to when that was. I mean,
yeah,
obviously heavily blurred and weirdly enough, not a lot of cursing because he still couldn't do that because he was on radio. But it was either fun comedians, whack pack stuff, him berating one of his employees, which is one of my personal favorite things. And
yeah,
somebody would just like get in his crosshairs, especially like Gary, and it would just be 3 hours of just him drilling him and just berating him and making him feel like shit. That was great. I think
Baba
everybody
Booey.
loves that. But yeah, and every once in a while you get something real sexy too. I remember E especially and because I watched it so much that I was a little perverted little fat kid that just thought it was so sexy. There was this hot, I guess she was like I don't know what she was, but like an influencer or maybe like a kind of softcore porn chick named Cindy Margolis. Remember that
Yeah,
lady? Just a hot blonde, very voluptuous. And she came on and she had a sexy friend with her who was just kind of like a normal chick, but very hot. Um, and they had started doing like wet t-shirt stuff. Howard's like goading them into going further and like kissing and stuff. And it's just still imprinted on my brain. I watched
yeah.
it so much, but yeah, dude, especially as a young kid, like we didn't in Ohio get Howard Stern until I didn't even know who he was until I was in junior high. So I wasn't like a huge fan. But then when you got to see this and got in on the jokes and stuff, I mean, fantastic. And if you throw in a little sexy porn star on the side too, get a little of that action as a young little perverted kid. I mean, why not?
And he would have like these A-list celebrities. Like these wouldn't be like, late show caliber people, man. He would have Vince McMahon on. He would have hell, Mike Tyson, I believe, has been on there before. Chris Rock.
He'd have female celebrities on that are A-list celebrities, and he'd get them talking sexually. They'd be called Howard, but he'd always steer it in like, yeah, well, tell me like what color panties do you wear? Like he just says something perverted, and inevitably, whoever it was, no matter how straight laced they were always eventually he'd break them down, and they just get into some raunchy conversation. I love it.
Like I feel like Jackie wasn't appreciated enough. Like now that he's not been with them for the longest, man, like he added something to the show. Like his high pitched laughs.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
I think that what that created though was like eras because we had the Jackie era, then there was like the Artie Lang era.
yeah,
Like some people would fill that seat. Fred was always there. Fred was always fantastic. Sometimes he'd go a little batty because Howard would always like sort of like nudge him and be like, "You're a I think you're a psychopath." Like he'd always call him like crazy and stuff and get under his nails.
but I mean, they've
Hell
known
yeah,
each
dude.
other for like what, 40 years, 50 years at this point.
Yeah, I think that's what I think everybody loves about it. It's like not just Howard Stern's funny or was funny or whatever, but it's like that whole world that they create. There's always a storyline. Whether it was Ronnie the driver fucking up or Gary, if it's not that, it's some crazy porn star running around doing something weird or him getting mad about some production issue or something. Like remember Scott the engineer,
Scott
like
the engineer.
that
Yeah.
guy, dude, used to just take it all the time. And I think that's what people love, like you're sort of you're basically an audience member watching this world unfold around you. And it was just like everyday stuff, but it was just so entertaining, and he was just sort of the ringleader of all that.
Hey, boys and girls, this is Steve G and Mad G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Kevin Sullivan posters and your sexual harassment pandas and tell me, why are we so blind to see that best decade of all time is the 1990s? We've
Damn.
been spending most our life living in the 90s paradise. I hit the doobie once or twice, living in my 90s paradise.
Damn, Steve. Respect.
Coolio would be blushing. Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven, 7-Eleven in the 90s. Hey! Starting off in 1990, The Adventures of Ford Fairlane premieres. A vulgar private detective is hired to find a missing groupie and is drawn into a mystery involving a series of murders tied to the music industry. Directed by Rennie Harlan, starring Andrew Dice Clay, Wayne Newton, Priscilla Presley, Morris Day, Gilbert Godfrey, Lauren Holly, Maddie Corman, Tone Loc, Robert Englund, and Ed O'Neill. Hey-o!
K Kid, you see those two broads over there? They're Girl Scouts. I bought a box each. So much this, dude. If they only had like that kung fu noise every time he flexed his arm to light a cigarette.
Yes.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh.
And I was looking forward to this because I'd never seen it. I remember it was being promoted when he hosted on SNL. And I know it got panned, but I'm just that guy that like chases the wildfire. Where is this going to go? I wasted about 90 minutes of my life.
It's
I
fucked
feel like
up, dude.
I only watched it for the star quality. I mean, you do get Morris Day and Jerome.
Mm-hmm.
You do get some Al Bundy. You're talking about his was it Booty Town days? That was his hit song in his funk band.
Yeah, dude.
But
Wayne
Hopper
Newton,
shit.
dude. Come on.
Wayne Newton, yeah, man. But Hopper shit nonetheless.
Hey, kid. It's almost got like a little Dick Tracy vibe, Steve. You know, he's got his little buddy, his little kid hanging out. That kid tries to smoke butts all the time.
You know that
Hey,
little kid? That's JT, right?
who
That's
is it?
JT. That's JT from Step by Step.
No.
The little kid that the Dice Man adopts and like basically takes guardianship of.
Clean up my car, kid. I got a little bit of PJ on it. Ha!
Tell that
Yeah,
Stacy
come on,
Keenan,
though. I
come
mean, it's
over.
not as bad as everybody says it is, though. Like, I gotta give. I mean, it's the Dice Man, dude. It's a vibe. You gotta be into it. You know.
Hey,
You
you do.
wasted 90 minutes. I don't think the Dice Man would appreciate it, Steve.
It's ridiculous, Matt. You know it.
It is,
And
but that's the thing. It's
I,
supposed to be. It's like a pulp movie, you know. It's like a little comic book, you know. It's Ford Fairlane.
I will say, Brandon Call using profanity is hilarious. Little kids cussing has always been hilarious. Um,
I'm into it. Love
yeah,
that.
and maybe
Yeah.
that's yeah. I don't have kids, so that's probably why I look at it like that.
I mean, is it going to win an Oscar? I don't think so. But it did. It got panned so bad they had Dice crying on live television.
I,
You
it
know,
has
come
its
on.
moments. It has its moments. I do like the part where he's like, "Here's to you, buddy, for sucking my dick."
My cock. I mean, if you like Dice, give it a watch. You know, he's never. It's the Dice Man.
Dice Man cometh.
Hell yeah, that's a good album, by the way.
But 1992, July 11th, Howard Stern is airing Hooker Howie-Wood Squares. And this is going to have former child stars Mike Lookinland and Susan Olsen from Brady Bunch fame.
Yeah, you got some stars, Steve. I don't know if Mike's very happy to be there this particular day, really. It seems like maybe he's a little uncomfortable with the prostitute action that's going on here, but
I don't know.
you
Mike
know.
looks like he goes to jerk booths. He just
I
has
mean,
this
he's
look.
who was he again? Which Brady was he?
He was the youngest. They're both the youngest ones, Bobby and Cindy.
Oh boy, I don't know if I
Yeah.
like that. Little Bobby Brady was going to jerk booths, Steve.
That's what he
Allegedly,
looks like.
he does have like a serial killer look for sure. He's got a fucked up coke like stare that I don't like, but he's keeping it cool,
Exactly.
Steve. He's got that members only jacket on and that cool buddy from Charles and Charles there. You know, he's got the little
Willie
curl.
Amos.
Yeah, he's got the Willie
Yeah.
Ames fucking haircut.
He dresses like Mark Wahlberg's friend at the end of Boogie Nights. The
He
guy that goes
dresses like
crazy.
like a guy who doesn't want to be noticed in public following somebody. That's what he's dressed like. You know,
On his way to the jerk booth.
it's a guy where there was a weird story about him on TV, and all his neighbors are like, I didn't really know him that well. I mean, he's quiet. That's all they have to say about him. Like, he's just kind of, I don't know. But Mike, Cindy, whatever their names are, Cindy's cool, Steve. I got to say, for her part, she seems like pretty down. She's recently divorced.
Yeah.
So maybe she's trying to throw it at Howard. And, they're here to compete on Hooker Howie-Wood squares, Steve.
Damn right.
Damn right. But I do like, they kind of let you see how the sausage is made. Also, they give you a little behind the scenes of one of the guys going to find talent for this hooker contest. And I mean, it's a hilarious video. They actually get arrested for picking up prostitutes, and that's one hell of a talk down to the cops. Like, he explained it well, but I mean, you might go to jail if you say the wrong thing, because you were out picking up prostitutes. It even says it, but then I guess you throw in, I work for the Howard Stern show, and everybody's copacetic with it, Steve.
That's the golden ticket.
Like, oh, okay, yep, get in there. Like, the ones that they find, though, Steve, they're just like any real hooker documentary, like a Pimps Up, Hose Down, or a Hookers at the Point. Which these are movies that we used to get a new hooker documentary about every 2 years back in the day. Haven't seen one in a long time, so I just like to say, bring that back.
TikTok, are you hearing that?
Yeah, especially we need the guy to be that was on Hookers on the Point that was like, lace is the place. Like the guy that like narrated with the silky poetry and the baritone voice. Maybe you didn't watch this stuff, but
That's
I did.
too deep of a dive, my friend.
Dude, it was so
But,
good. But these hookers are just
they're
like those
cross-dressers.
hookers.
Yeah.
Some of them are actual women that have some tragic stories about sucking dick for money.
There's one that's an actual woman, and she's
there's a couple women in the mix, right?
in the squares, yeah, but in the car when he's transporting them,
Yeah.
there's only one, Crystal Metheny.
Yeah, dude, the one with the red jacket and the blonde hair and the lizard eyes,
who actually kind of talks like Cindy Brady.
Hey, yeah, I'll do it if you pay me enough. It is tragic though. But what I would just like to say is, what a great job for a cameraman. I mean, you're getting great footage no matter what. You got like 7 documentaries in a van on their way to the Howard Stern show. Probably a couple. You need to definitely desanitize those seats. You definitely need to get some Lysol on those seats after they leave.
I think Howard even said, "Can y'all like burn up the car afterwards?"
Yeah, for sure. Burn all evidence. But they get, I mean, Hollywood Squares, you need 9 people, Steve. They get 9 squares worth of hookers.
Peaches and Tequila, and they're $40 each. $40. There's Silver and Exotica. There's Barbie. There's Heather and Felicia, the lesbians. There's Kathy. There's Red. She charges $60. Daisy Dewitt, Mistress Victoria, and Slave.
Yeah.
And then there's like an old couple,
Jim and Jane, the sweet middle-aged. I guess they run a brothel, Steve, but it looks like they just have a bowling league.
He looks like Ned Flanders.
Yeah, they're very mild-mannered, but the Jane's down. You know,
Yeah.
she's down to fuck. She's down to be a slave. All this shit. These people are a bunch of freaks, Steve. They need to find Jesus, but I
I
wouldn't
don't
mind
even know
hanging
what the
out.
Chinese basket method is. Like that's what Howard Stern mentioned. Like
He must be very well into this world, but
they are.
just a couple of highlights. You know, mistress and slave. Cute couple.
Right.
But you know, the mistress, she's very like business like, and she has a professional stable, Steve. Then she has a private stable. And Howard's like, what are we doing here? This is too much. Like, what do you got a bunch of horses or something? But she looks like Cher, and she just has a gimp with like full leathers on, even a leather hat that
With
Howard
a leather
puts on.
tango on top of it.
He's like, take that. He's like, Howard even tells him, he's like, everything looks great, but that hat, that's ridiculous. It's over the top.
And like I love the prizes that they have and the consolation prizes. Like if you pick the key out of Chastity's belt, you get a 3-year supply of Drapo douche. When your pelvis gets clogged, get the douche with the whoosh. Case of Beacon, yeast cream, and rat poison. It's Beacon or your John will be gone. And sorority sized gallon of KY.
It's a barrel, Steve.
A barrel.
Roll that thing down to Alpha Phi and just get down, Steve. One notable thing that sounded horrifying that I think maybe I misheard what they said, but there's a square that has two young ladies or men, Peaches and Shakia, I believe.
Yeah. They're the secret square, Matt.
Yeah, they are, and actually they're both men, but they're out here. They got nice wigs, but they they have like their story that they tell about their life is one tragedy after another. First, they admit to they're down for anything. Guys, women, dogs even are on the table. That's crazy. But then, Steve, they say something that sounds almost like a horror movie where one of the Johns that they dealt with was mutilated. And from what they said, half of him was a man and half of him was a woman. And it was like, I guess, surgically made that way. So just picture that in your head. Did you catch that?
It's caught.
It's caught. But they say this and everybody just passes over it. But let's go back to that. Follow them home and let's find this mutilated John that's walking around like some
Let's
kind
not
of Prince
follow them
video.
Let's get some Briar's ice cream and call it a night.
Dude, you got to be adventurous, Steve. Just like Peaches and Shakia.
And I think Mike, he's enjoying this. He picks the lesbians for his question. And the question is, what do men appreciate more about women? And it's the obvious one. It's the butt.
Yeah. Come on, Mike. It's the butt. It's the butt. I like how some of these hookers really get into like the questions though, because one of them they're like, what percentage of men have been with a man or something? And they get into like a full-fledged argument that ends with one of them saying 99.9% of men have been with another man.
Like, bitch,
and yes, sir, where are you? What neighborhood are you in? Because by those statistics, Steve, one of us, according to Mr. Man, Mr. Man, dude, what was the one named? There's one.
Daisy do it.
That's it, dude. The one that's constantly they're like, stop talking all high pitched. So we'll be like, yeah, Howard. Well, this is what I really talk like, you folks.
Yeah, it really sounded like Harvey Weinstein. And Howard first asked him, "You must get beat up a lot, don't you?"
So,
but this is something I didn't know though. Like her question or his question, difference between crabs and lice. And somebody said one itches more than the other. And apparently there is no difference. According to Hollywood hooker whatever.
I mean, one of them's like, yeah, one's on the one's below the waist and one's above the waist. So I guess that's the hooker knowledge that they come equipped with, Steve.
And Howard's like, I think Howard, like, damn, I think roaches and lice are afraid of you. I checked that one up. Don't smoke before recording.
Daisy Dewitt, also, she's a legend in this. Again, she's a male to female prostitute with a really deep voice. But at one point, they come back from a commercial break and reveal that Daisy Dewitt had to retuck the whole package because it was getting a little uncomfortable up there. It was getting a little swampy, which I thought that was fun.
Tuck goose.
Little inside baseball.
Tuck tails. Ooh.
And another thing, just to circle back to Jim and Jane, the sweet, mild mannered, like married couple that have a brothel. They figured out a nice little hustle, Steve, that they let everybody know about. Where sometimes cash is low. You don't always got a lot of cash, but maybe you got a couple gift certificates hanging around. They'll accept gift certificates to department stores and well-known stores in lieu of cash for some sex. So, if you got a Golden Corral gift card,
Ponderosa,
maybe a Forever 21, whatever. I mean, even maybe now, maybe some Apple Music somebody gave you or a Starbucks gift card. Take it down to Jim and Jane's. Get yourself a fucking suck for a $20 gift card.
That's a nice transfer.
That's gotta feel sucky though, as the prostitute. Like, you get done doing whatever you got to do, and then you get a Starbucks gift. I mean, that's a whole documentary in and of itself. We need to call Jim and Jane up, Steve. Let's get them on the horn and see if we can get them in the mix.
I thought it was funny when they asked Kathy like how long it takes for a woman to orgasm, and she said like 5 hours.
I mean, now it's like, how long does it take with you if they use a jackhammer? She's like, the woman's batshit. Like, something's wrong. Something is very wrong. She seems fun, Steve.
Kathy, who is your speech teacher? You're tired of sex? You're what? You're tired of... You like, maybe you need to take a nap after this.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely need to go to the fucking clinic and make sure you don't OD. What's that drug? Narcan? Couple of shots in there preemptively, because I think Kathy might be on a little bit of a bender, Steve. But one other fun fact, he mentioned the lace and the crab fact.
Yeah.
We also find out that if you're castrated, you can still have sex. And Daisy Dewitt, Eve says that from his or her experience, you can still have an orgasm. No nuts, no problem, Steve. So
Daisy Dewitt, with a doctorate apparently, another hidden talent.
If they're castrated, they can still come. It's so wild. I mean, how he got away with this is insane. And he even says a bunch of times, he's like, this is just sexism for pure sexism, guys. We didn't have any ideas this week. This is what you get.
That's the whole idea of Howard Stern.
It's fantastic. But I do have to say, whoever had to clean up after these, just burn everything, because between Kathy and Daisy Dewitt, there's a lot of disease just flowing around that stage, Steve.
Yeah. And Susan, she won. Like, Cindy Brady, she wins, and like they unlock the chastity belt, and I don't even think anything happened.
Well, I mean, she won all those prizes you talked about. And she's recently divorced, so maybe that barrel of KY, at least, that's going to come in handy. But yeah, I mean, Snapple Chick's just been chained to a wall for 30 minutes, so she's probably
smash Cindy Brady.
I mean, there was a time in my life for sure, Steve. We have a little conversation in a bar. She opens up with she was in Brady Bunch. I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. You look great though. I mean, it's not like all those other kid celebrities. I'm glad to see you made it.
That's great.
You
Does your
seems
mouth work?
yeah. Let's go over here real quick. But that's I was about to sing a theme song to a different show, Steve, not the Brady Bunch. So.
Yeah. Brady Bunch, Andy Griffith, whatever. But the Stuttering John, I always look forward to these. And the two celebrities that he interviews are John Forsythe and Isabel Sanford from the Jeffersons fame. And John Forsythe, he's actually being friendly. He's one of the like more patient ones. He's like, why does De Niro date so many black women?
Does he? I didn't know. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, he's really down though. He just doesn't know who he is. He's just like, sure, whatever. I love it.
Do you support clinical castration?
Were you turned on by the rape scene in Prince of Tides? What? Yeah,
Yeah,
sure, I
actually.
was. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Get me a raging harder.
That was weird. That was a weird response. Hopefully, John Forsythe just, he didn't mean that. But,
John Foreskin.
I mean, dude's looking dapper. I don't know where they were at, but dressed to the nines. But then we get Isabel Sanford and Wheezy from the Jeffersons. First of all, they're like, what, is she Wheezy? Is it Florida Evans? They don't know who it is. But she doesn't really know. I mean, at least she's playing coy. But I think one of the first questions is bigger humanitarian, Magic Johnson or Howard Stern, and she's like, who?
Who sent black people back further? Arsenio Hall or Montel Williams?
You crazy. She just kind of looks at him like just like a pest. And he is, Steve. But he doesn't really get any great reactions. He just is sweaty as fuck and getting berated on the stage with Howard and well, Howard's just like, you look greasy, you look gross, you're gross, you're fat. This sucks.
And that's the Howard Stern show.
Badass. I gotta say though, the Snapple having the just marketing know-how to put your brand on that show, fantastic. You get a great Snapple ad every episode, little TNA to go with it, which we all know works wonders, especially in the 90s. See? It made you lose it. You were thinking about it just now and you almost fucking choked on it, Steve.
Made from the best stuff on earth. And she's probably one of my favorite ones doing the Snapple because he always has a hottie doing the Snapple ads. She's probably the coldest. She might be the coldest.
I mean, she's stacked, Steve. She's great babe. It's my favorite Snapple. But
Same.
I don't know. It's the 90s vibe of these chicks. I mean, I get it. Yeah, she's voluptuous, but the hair, and she doesn't have any rhythm, Steve. They ask her to dance and it gets real
dance.
stiff. But
how you go?
I don't put myself out there to dance, Steve. And then she's a spokesmodel, so a little bit of rhythm, you'd expect a little.
Tig old biddies make you overlook a lot of things, man.
You're right.
Yeah.
And Howard Stern can attribute some of his career to that exact same, Steve. So cheers.
That following year, 1993, Wienerville debuts on Nickelodeon.
Wiener. What a weird show. Why? Mark Wiener. I don't get it. I don't know why they would call it that, but I watched a few episodes, Steve. There's always some fun puppetry.
And all while not understanding it. As a kid, I didn't get it. As an adult, I don't get it. And I was big on puppets, especially as a kid. But like, I still watched it. I think that's the main reason because it was puppets.
I feel like here's why I didn't dig on it so much, Steve. Remember Ernest? Obviously, we all remember Ernest. He did the same shit. He did it better. He's just biting off Ernest's style and making a whole show out of just putting his head in a puppet. Having a human head and having some crazy legs or some weird body and stuff. Ernest did it better, Mark Wiener. So why don't you tuck up and fucking go take a walk?
Hey, man, what did Mark Wiener do to you?
I don't want to say, Steve. I guess we're gonna have to have another Nickelodeon documentary, and I can get into it. But
Dude,
um,
Boney wouldn't allow that, bro.
I don't remember specific bits. I remember like the theme song and taking that you through like Wienerville and seeing like different characters and stuff, but I don't really remember too much of the show. Just the the Wiener. It was just a lot of that, which
I
we
I
loved.
remember the cartoons that he would air, man. Like they would be interstitial or however you say it, like interplaced within the Wienerville,
Intermixed.
intermixed. Yeah, there we go. Words are hard sometimes. And what was the character that Leslie Nielsen played? It was like a live action remake of the cartoon where like as the old
Mr.
guy,
Magoo.
Mr. Magoo. That's what introduced me to Mr. Magoo because apparently he had those ready on deck. That was one of them, and then like it would be other old school cartoons like that.
That's all I remember of Mr. Magoo. It was always just like just a little mumbly guy. I didn't get some of those early cartoons. You know, Mr. Magoo, good. I'm also good with Mark Wiener. Steve.
Man, you know what? One of these days, Matt. One of these days. 2 years later, 1995, Dangerous Minds soundtrack is released. Tell me why are we so blind to see one of the greatest soundtrack songs of all time. Of all
Yeah,
time, I'll say that right now. Like,
made you. I mean, honestly, Steve, I don't know if I would have gone to see Dangerous Minds if that song wasn't leading you into the movie. You know what I mean? Like we
yeah.
got that song months before the movie, got excited about it. We're like, oh, that song, this movie, and it's Michelle Pfeiffer turning a chair around and talking to people about like fucking poetry and shit. So,
So what's
um,
the hood like?
yeah, exactly. You guys know. You want to know what one of the best rappers is, guys? William Shakespeare.
Yeah, in Immature has a song on the soundtrack called "Feel the Funk," and this is one of the greatest R&B songs, especially of the '90s. It's got the Marcus Houston, aka Roger, and he's got his perm in full force, man.
I like
It,
that.
it's very theatrical. I feel like the video is basically them doing a performance of the song, but the ladies are losing their minds. I remember when Immature came to Sandusky, Ohio, of all places, in '97 or '98. We were in high school at that point. I remember that. And like all the girls in that bracket of that demographic, they were all there and their moms, some of their moms.
I don't remember that song.
Dude, you've probably heard it. You've
I
had to
I
heard it.
know I had the soundtrack, Steve. This is one of like the first CDs I ever bought. So not one of the first, but I definitely had this. This was a Columbia House essential that I got for like a penny.
Yeah, Immature, Batman, Marcus Houston, Roger, y'all did that. But back to Coolio though. Like this song, Gangsta's Paradise, that could be in the soundtrack of the summer of '95.
That the ones we heard are you and me. Dude,
Soundtrack of the '90s.
I mean, the beats fire. Coolio's killing it. The video was tight as fuck. Well
Yeah.
shot. We get a little couple of clips of Michelle Pfeiffer doing
In
getting a
LV.
little bit. Yeah, dude.
That's the guy that did the chorus. I got to give him his shine. LV.
Oh, that's soulful. That's soulful voice. LV. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I mean, is it the best soundtrack in the world that for a movie? No, but it's got Gangster's Paradise, and as you said, I can't. I mean, dude, I don't really think there is a song that was made specifically for a movie that's as good as that.
Getting treated like a punk, you know this unheard of. You better watch how you're talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lying and chalk. I really hate the trip, but I got a low.
God, dude, I didn't like how Coolio kind of like was trying to cling to fame at like later on in his career. I mean,
Yeah.
but dude, he wasn't a one hit wonder for sure, but this
No,
like that
this
one
one,
song is a motherfucker to try to live up to. You know
he
what I
got
mean?
residuals for the rest of his life, man. But that same day, 1995, 311 releases their self-titled album, and that's the one with "Doing a Legend and Some." That's my shit right there.
Dude, 311, man, I don't know. They're still going strong. Is this my favorite 311's album? No, but it's got some heavy hits.
Like
Uh,
this is the one for me.
I like Transistor more than this. Like I feel like that the album after this one has a couple more like they're not the hits, they're not like the singles, but it's got a lot more like better like don't skip songs. 311 the self-titled though, I feel like you can listen to 85% of this album and not skip a beat. And
Yeah.
they I mean, I still listen to this shit, Steve. Down. I mean, even when they go like romantic, like Amber and stuff, and it's a little more poppy and stuff, I like it all.
And this
Peanut.
Peanut, man, he doesn't get enough credit.
I think over the years he's really solidified himself as like a legend that people just like. He's not just some guy that plays in 311, but you know, I think like when we were younger, I remember people kind of talking shit about this band a little bit and saying they were cheesy. And I guess I could see that in some ways. They're white dudes doing like reggae and shit like that. And that can come off kind of dumb every once in a while. But I
Yeah.
think like when they hit, dude, they hit. And I've seen them live. And at least back in the day, the live show, fantastic, especially if you smoke some weed and stuff. I mean, who doesn't like a nice, just fun sesh with your buddies, listen to some 311, Steve?
A hater. That's who doesn't. But that same day in '95, Shaggy releases "Bombastic," really romantic, really man. That's
Mr.
it.
Whoa, whoa.
Yeah, this is actually the winner of the best reggae album that year. But all I cared about was this song. I listened to the rest of it, and
Small, make
yeah,
me sweat, stir. I
yeah,
didn't, it got, it was like, it was just one of those songs where like you heard it a couple times, you're like, all right, like this is all right, this ain't bad, and then it just it's like one of those songs they use to torture people.
just like a silka. But
Hmm.
also in '95, Escape releases "Off the Hook," and man, this one has another great song from the '90s I love, man. "Who Can I Run To?" And this is, I'm sure, probably doesn't come off the top of the dome, man, but you remember it, man, if you heard it.
I like Escape. I mean, you introduced me to them and like made me aware of who they were more so than I was originally. But Escape is a motherfucker. I don't really like Jermaine Dupri that much, but Escape is a
Whoa.
motherfucker.
First Mark Wiener, now JD. All
Come
he did
on,
was give us
man.
Crisscross. What? All he did was give us what? Debrat, Functified, Money Ain't a Thing. Not Money Ain't a Thing.
I mean,
Money Ain't a Thing.
I like money in a thing, Steve.
I don't care. But is it Janet? Is it mad because you couldn't get her? You didn't have her? I'm just
I don't like
furious
the
off of Mark
tone,
Wiener.
Steve. I don't like the tone, honestly. But
You should
yeah,
have
it
left
is.
Mark Wiener alone.
Dude, I feel like something happened with you and Mark Wiener. You guys are in some sort of an agreement together, Steve. Taking it a little too hard.
He's cool, bro. I've seen him fight before. Leave him
Watching,
alone.
I've seen him fight before, dude. Mark Wiener will fuck you up, just so you
Dude,
know.
he's cool, man. He does ollies off his bike, man. It's the coolest, bro. Like
Dude, I saw him fucking straight smoke 3 cigarettes at one time, Steve.
he's the
Just
coolest,
he
man.
is. It was awesome. You're
He
right.
always has
Sorry, Mark.
Doritos
I'm a hater.
and
Sorry.
the Cool Ranch kind too. He always has Cool Ranch Doritos because he's cool.
Because he eats mushrooms a lot, which is also cool.
How do you think he came up with Boney? Boney, leave me alone. That's top tier genius. That's guy level genius right there,
Is
man.
this a kid show or the ramblings of a madman, Steve? I don't know.
Yeah, for more episodes similar to that, check out our episode 2 weeks ago when it was just me and That one is actually sad. Don't watch that one.
I'm gonna go back and watch it now, Steve.
Oh, but
So,
shout out to Escape though, man. I really love Who Can I Run To. But 1997, Contact premieres in theaters. Dr. Ellie Arroway, after years of searching, finds conclusive radio proof of extraterrestrial intelligence, sending plans for a mysterious machine. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, starring Jodie Foster, Matthew McConaughey, James Woods, John Hurt, Tom Skerritt, and Angela Bassett.
I know we're live, but your mic sounds funky. Uh, I love context, Steve. While you're trying to figure out the mic issue, I'm just gonna go ahead and just ramble a little bit.
Check, check.
That sounds way better.
Yeah.
Um, this is an alien movie without aliens. I think it's more of a cerebral movie, a make you think movie. There's a lot of like stuff about religion and how that like versus science. I mean, McConaughey is like I think a priest in this that's sort of involved in all this, but
Mhm.
this I feel like this is a very polarizing movie because it gets you excited. They're communicating with aliens. They figure out this machine. It's cool technology. There's all this like you think you're going to see something, and then I think it just ends, and you do see an alien, but it's not an alien. And then it's just basically they make you think like, or at least in the movie, they tell her that she's crazy. Basically, I think it's kind of a downer ending, but
Yeah.
I think it was great. I think it's kind of a groundbreaking movie, and I just think like even with like the disappointment of not seeing aliens, the special effects and stuff we get in this are really cool.
I was going to watch this, but my usual source in the internet streets, it's under construction. And maybe that was a sign from God that, maybe you shouldn't watch this, man. There's other things you could be doing
It's
because,
long.
yeah. And the title is bland. I'm not too big on sci fi, as I've mentioned before.
Yeah.
I do remember my science teacher having us watch this a freshman year science teacher, and I think I slept through most of that, or just not paying attention altogether. But yeah, man, I do like me some Matthew McConaughey. Hi. Angela Bassett, she's my goat actress, and James Woods, Mama, there goes that man again.
I think Gary Busey's kids in this is like he's the guy that blows up the machine in it. I believe there's like a terrorist act
Yeah,
on the thing, and yeah, I get it. Especially if you don't like science fiction, yeah, don't check this out because you're gonna definitely waste your time. But I think there's room here in science fiction for this movie, but it's definitely a thinking man science fiction movie. There's not a lot of explosions and pizzazz. You get a little bit of that, but it's more of like use your imagination type things. And I don't know, take some mushrooms, have a weird conversation with your friends about it after you watch it together, because that's really what it's good for, you know?
don't waste your trip watching Contact. They're like watch Frankenhooker before you watch Contact, and
That'd be fun.
Frankenhooker's yeah. That I think that's on Tubi. When it's on Tubi, everybody owns it. Anybody with a smartphone owns it. But also in 1997, This World Then the Fireworks premieres. In the 1950s, two incestuous lovers, a depraved suave journalist and his equally depraved prostitute sister, plan to get rich through seduction and murder. Things complicate when their feeble minded mother begins to suspect something. Directed by Michael Olowitz, starring your boy, Billy Zane, Gina Gershon, Cheryl Lee, and Rue McClanahan.
Yeah, I mean, Billy Zane, we need to applaud him for this. He's great in this. I forgot the incest part because when I saw this originally, Steve, it was there's a lot of sex in this. There's a lot of just hot women. Gina Gershon's in this, and for somebody in the '90s, you remember,
You
just a
see Gina
hot,
Gershon's nipples. Them
yeah.
titty nibbles, baby. You see
But
them nibbles.
there's a lot of incest in this, which I forgot about.
Yeah.
It's it's one of those movies. There's fucking, there's intrigue. They're trying to get. It's almost like before they made Wild Things, this was what this led to Wild Things.
but set in the 1950s because it has like a neo noir storytelling style to it.
Well, I mean, even the movie Chinatown, it's got that
Well,
same
that
like look. And I
yeah.
think even in Chinatown, there's some sort of incest going on. So maybe that's just the vibe of the '50s, Steve. They were just like, hey, cousin, what's up?
Yeah, and Rue McClanahan's in it. Like this is a different contrast for Blanche. She plays like this feeble-minded mother who's just been through it, man.
Are you two having sex? What are you doing upstairs? I don't like that part of it. So in that way, it's like
Yeah, it's
I
pretty sad.
I want Billy Zane, like your first introduction to Billy Zane, not to be him fucking his sister and other hookers. But he's pretty cool in it, honestly, Steve. Like he's got some pretty
I
fun
mean,
moments.
he's having sex. Like that typically makes a guy look cool, cooler than not a guy not having sex. I mean, depending on who he's having sex with. But yeah, man, this made $50,000. That was their like blockbuster number right there. And that's how much I typically make in the last couple years. Like if you're just gonna blow that much, just give me money. Just give they could have just gave me that money
How
and
much
just
did they spend though? Is my thing. If they made 50K, they spent way more than that for Billy Zane to be fucking and sucking his way through Hollywood with
but
the zoot suit on.
look at the return on their investment. That's what I'm saying. Like the return on your investment after paying Billy Zane and Gina Gershon with them titty nibbles, baby, like is the same amount I get paid to work on Excel spreadsheets.
Well, let me just put it to you like this, Steve. Let me do a little Hollywood math for you, right? Here's the thing. Some art is not marketable, right? Some people think Billy Zane's naked ass pumping in and out of multiple women is cool. But the people that would buy it and market it for you and give you money for like ad revenue, they're not into seeing that. You can't really have like a
Mhm.
Snyder's pretzel ad in the middle of Billy Zane wiping fucking PJ off of his pelvis in the middle of
And,
an incest investigation. It's just not going to happen. But are you going to get some good acting on the way, Steve? Sure. And for that, we need to applaud Mr. Zane and just tell everybody, you know, people have to
oh,
start somewhere. And this is where it started for that man.
and that movie is more available than Ford Fairlane. It's on Amazon Prime, Freevee, Tubi. It's on
Freebie.
yeah, bro. Like they're just throwing that movie. Like
Please.
take it,
Here, we won't even charge you.
watch it. Okay,
Billy Zane will do commentary for you.
Blanche is she's lost it. She's a crazy mom. It's great. Watch it.
I don't
But
like that the
also,
Blanche
yeah,
was in this though. I hate that. That really kind of makes me mad.
yeah. That's what happens when you break up the band, man. Dorothy got married to Leslie Nielsen, and then like she didn't know what to do with herself.
She had to listen to Billy Zane tag and trim on the other room.
Pouring them soap suds all over them titty nipples, baby. The beautiful Gina Gashan, baby. Beautiful titty nipples, baby. Am I on TikTok, by the way? Uh, it's also in 1997, A Simple Wish premieres. A bumbling fairy godmother tries to grant a girl's wish that her cabbie father lands a Broadway role. Directed by Michael Ritchie, starring Martin Short, Mara Wilson, Robert Pastorelli, Amanda Plummer, Francis Capra, and Kathleen Turner.
I mean, they got Kathleen Turner and Martin Short in it. So
Yeah.
this was of a time where I was not into these movies, but this has all the makings of a good kids movie. You got some stars. You got Martin Short that's going to be acting crazy as fuck, and the little girl in this wasn't she Matilda?
That's Matilda, I believe. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mara Wilson. And yeah, we were too old to be watching this at the time. I think I would have to, as you would say, take some mushrooms to watch this and kind of be in that place. But that's probably not going to happen. There are better
Yeah.
things to do than wasting my trip on watching A Simple Wish.
Honestly, dude, if I came in, just walked in on you tripping mushrooms, and you were watching A Simple Wish, I might I would kind of want to have an intervention at that point, Steve.
Yeah.
You know?
Watch Frankenhooker instead. But also in 1997, Spicy City debuts on HBO. The plot was described as a science fiction anthology series set in a futuristic city with a steamy side. Each episode is introduced by Raven, a nightclub hostess who also makes brief appearances in the tales. And I do like that Ralph Bakshi is behind this. Even though I'm not big on sci-fi, like this is animated, of course, and I can get behind something like this.
Well, he always did like this weird, like erotic cartoon stuff. He made Fritz the
Exactly.
Cat, which I think was like the one of like the first ones of its kind. But I think he also did like the Lord of the Rings cartoon. Like this guy's pretty prolific in animation in general.
He has a unique style where
Yeah.
you see that style of animation, you know it's him. And he also did that reboot of the Mighty Mouse that happened. I think that began in the 90s and it was short lived because it was so controversial, man. There were so many like little uh in the vein of Ren and Stimpy, where there are like little innuendos in the background if you're paying attention enough.
Hmm.
And sponsors and produce like the big wigs at CBS were like, nope,
I'm pretty
you didn't
sure
do it.
he also did. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Yeah, he did that movie Cool World.
Cool
Where
World.
Brad Pitt was in,
Brad
where it
Pitt.
was like half
Yeah.
anime. It was almost like Roger Rabbit type stuff.
But
Really cool. I don't remember this. I don't remember Spicy City, but I love the title.
I don't remember it either, but HBO, that's right up his wheelhouse. And it's only 6 episodes, and that's actually available on Tubi. I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the cast, and I'm not seeing a lot of like big names, but it's got Ralph Bakshi, and I don't know. I'm sure there's some nice cartoon titty nibbles, Steve. A couple of animated nipples.
Don't tell them. But,
Hmm.
yeah, man. Uh, Shout out to Ralph Bakshi. But 1998, Weird Science is airing School Spirits. And finally, get to talk about this one, man. It hasn't even been on the plate this whole time, really.
Yeah, it's been so long since I've watched a show, and I used to watch it every week. Like they had this played on reruns on USA all the time, and I like the original, the John Hughes movie about the like that this is based off of. So, is it a great show, Steve? Looking back on it, I think I was enamored with the Lisa character.
Lisa.
The genie, if you will, I guess is what she is. But this is fun, man. This is '90s fun. There's some cleavage. There's some weird high school hijinks. Wyatt and Gary, two lovable nerds. I mean, what's more to love? What's not to love here?
And the theme song was great. Once again, like in the final season, they've done away with the theme song. That's when the writing is on the wall, man.
You gotta just. We can't pay this guy anymore, guys. So we're just gonna da weird
Yeah.
science.
Weird science. And we start off knowing that Wyatt's hamster Trigger died. He apparently fell off the hamster's wheel, and Lisa wants to throw a Viking funeral for it, but it's like no, man. But Lisa, she second guesses like there's something else I can do. It was like, well, what you got? So she knocks Gary and Wyatt to the ground. They both just drop, and their spirits come up out of them. They basically become spirits of themselves.
Yeah, she like killed them, and I'm thinking, hey, the fuck, lady. Just give me a little notice. You're gonna take my soul out of my body.
At
Weird
least suck it
computer
out.
hottie. I mean, you were just a fucking action figure that we brought to life to have sex with, and now this. I mean, what the hell?
Supposed to have 2 jobs. That's it. You're not supposed to kill us,
I don't
but
get
it,
it. But
it
Lisa,
served the
dude,
purpose.
what's her name, Steve? Because Lisa. Oh, I know what it is. Because it's so apropos to who she really is, Vanessa Angel, Steve.
Angel. Yep.
God, she's so hot. I think she's actually hotter than the woman that they used in the '80s, who also she just looked crazy. She had '80s style. She looked like Sensational Cher.
She was in hair band videos.
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
yeah. But so Lisa gets him into the spirit realm, I guess, to see the spirit of Trigger, the dead hamster, but maybe just we can have a couple of nice words. Put them in a shoebox or flush them.
Yeah, and I don't know what Wyatt said to the hamster, but he's just like, "Oh, okay, really?" It just runs off. Like, all right,
I
I
don't
guess you
even
don't
think
love
he
me.
really loved it that much, honestly. It
Like,
didn't
I'm
seem
kind
that
of
big of
glad
a
I'm dead.
deal.
You
Yeah.
never fed me.
Yeah. But then they start seeing ghosts, Steve. They're tuned into the spirit realm, and I guess that lingers because now they start seeing a weird British hippie, a guy with no head. Uh, and it's just getting a little bit like, remember that movie Frighteners with Michael J. Fox? It's starting to look a little crazy in that way. He's seeing shit.
And they first see the spirit at this conference. I guess there's like an announcement for this new library, or they're getting rid of the old library. They're basically like adding a new wing to the school. And while this conference is going on, like they hear some yelling. It's like, man, shut up, you're stupid, whatever, da, 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 da. And it's this like ghost looking girl. And when they see her, she sees them see her, and she just runs off. So they follow her into the teacher's lounge, and then they run into the headless guy. And then they see a painting talking to him.
Real Harry Potter shit, Steve. You
Real Harry
remember.
Potter.
It's getting crazy. And they think they're losing their mind or the acid's kicking in, but it's not, Steve. This is a side effect of what Lisa did to them. But as they're meeting these ghosts, Mr. Cabeza, the headless man,
Miss
Petulia,
Petula.
the British hippie. I guess she was these are people that lived in this building or worked in this building. They're ghosts of this place. But Lisa basically agrees to help them, and to help them, I guess, is to help them haunt Mr. Scampy, the principal, and I guess to prevent him from moving forward with this whole new library thing.
Yeah, because they got to have a home. Like that's where they live since they died, apparently. And they want to prevent Mr. Cabeza, whatever his name is. They want to prevent him from burying the current library. That's where
Yep,
they dwell.
that's their home. They don't want to live in some new updated shit. So then we cut to the hallway and we see Mr. Scampy, principal, person of authority, and now a man riding on a kid's tricycle through the hallways of his school.
Weird, bro.
I don't like
Like,
that.
yeah, I didn't get that one either. He's riding the tricycle into the teacher's lounge, and then the painting starts talking to him and telling him, "Don't bury the library." And then he goes back into the hallway and he runs into these evil twins. And then like he drives away on the tricycle. I don't understand why he's still on the tricycle, bro. Like your feet are working. Was there an obligation to stay on the tricycle?
Plus, you saw ghosts. I know you're trying to play it off, but you saw some ghosts, so maybe you get some pep in your step. But
I think it's
no,
quicker.
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. I mean, he's pretty good on that trike. But then he turns around again. Oh, Steve's in the dark, and he sees basically the scene in The Shining where the elevator doors open. But in this case, instead of blood coming out of them, it's some kind of pea soup. I think it's a green liquid.
It looks
Um,
like Nickelodeon slime.
yeah, it looks like gack. But even with all this shit happening, I mean, Scampy, he's a little scared, but he's not there yet. I'd be babbling mess. But he runs into the bathroom, and that's where he sees Mr. Cabeza, who's actually in the toilet, Steve. This poor soul, he's living in between realms. He's living in some kind of limbo, and now he has to be in the bottom of a toilet looking right down the asshole of Mr. Scampy, the tricycle driving principal. I hate that.
I hate that for him.
I mean, are you okay with the lights, Steve? Was there an attack?
Yeah, like the lights that are attached to this laptop, I didn't charge it. I thought it was fully charged.
I'm scared. Maybe I'll turn my lights down too, and then we can match. It's fine though. I mean, you know what? Light a candle. So as Steve's working on this technical issue, I'm just gonna keep running you through the episode, Steve. Just listen up.
No, it's cool. I got it.
So these ghosts are trying to pull like a Beetlejuice. They're trying to haunt this guy into, complying with what they want, which is to not demolish their library and create this new library. So Mr. Scampy, he's the haunting's not really working, but he does end up running to his office and he calls some sort of weird ghost fighting mercenary, I guess you could call him. The guy's vibe is very autistic.
He's an ectosis.
Yeah. And not only is he weird and vibe and just look and the way he talks, he's like this. Hey man, is that a ghost? Is that an ectomorphic being? It's very weird. It's very
He
like
likes to
guy
eat
coming.
stuff.
Yeah, it's a guy who licks toes. But we see in his apartment or his house, he does have a mummified body in his house, and I don't like that at all. See?
Yeah, that's his mom.
Yeah, and I hate that. Somebody call the cops on Johnny Goo Attack or whatever this guy. What's his name?
I think he's just known as the ectosis.
The ectocyst. Well, the ectocyst he's on the case now. Scampy's called this guy, and aside from looking like some kind of punk Satanist, he does have some tech that seems to be pretty effective against ghosts. So, shout out to him in that regard. The Wyatt and Gary are just pawns to ghosts. Mr. Scampy still basically the antagonist, but these ghosts are trying to, work him down so that he doesn't blow up their spot.
That's what it was. They run a play because after Lisa promises the spirits that like she'll save their library, um, she basically like causes a diversion for the ectosis, and she's like flirting with them. And I think they have plans to go out on a date later.
A little dinner, a little maybe an ice cream dinner or date. Because he knows a lot, Steve. He knows
And
how
while
to
he
please ghosts and women in the real realm. You know,
and like while he's distracted, that gives time for the spirits to mess with the Mr. Scampy in the teacher's lounge because once again the painting's talking to him, the headless guy shows up, and Janis Joplin, uh, she pops up, and they basically make him promise to not bury the library.
yeah, and they're like, "Look, man, there's got to be some way for you to do this to not mess with our thing because we need to live here." And he actually starts coming around, but unfortunately, he's already called Doctor Crazy Pants over there with the gun, and as Dr. Crazy's going around with Lisa trying to find these ghosts, I think Mr. Scampy or somebody turns the PA on. So now the dude knows that the ghosts are in the teacher's lounge. He sneaks up. And after Mr. Scampy's had this agreement to help them out and come around, he pops in and he's like, "You got to get out of the way." He's real committed to his job, Steve. And he's ready to deal some damage to these ghosts because the gun he has seems to kill ghosts.
Yeah, that homemade Nerf gun.
It looks like a Nintendo gun that he's just like outfitted with a couple of extra little accessories, but
The
it
one you
takes
play
care of
Duck Hunt with.
ghosts. Yeah, exactly. It takes care of ghosts, dude. So proof is in the
Yeah,
pudding.
because Scampy tells him that his services are no longer needed. And he was just like, you know what? I'm not even doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I'm weird.
I love this shit.
Are
Okay.
you into feet stuff?
Have you guys ever watched fucking a snuff film before? That's what that guy's into, is that kind of shit.
Rotten.com. You should
Yeah,
check it
dude.
out, bro.
um, but you know what? How does they get out of this? Because he basically has the ghost cornered, but I feel like Gary and Wyatt do something to like interfere here. because they're kind of like what I don't like about this episode, Steve, is Gary and Wyatt. They're not the main shebang here.
It's
It's
all
kind of
about
going,
Lisa.
yeah, it's all about Lisa and this weird creep.
Yeah. They're just there for comedic relief. And I think they just paired this with Duckman. I feel like that was a part of the block along with like Up All Night. Maybe that block started before Up All Night, and then you get to watch Gilbert Godfrey
I feel
and
like
old girl.
Parker Lewis Can't Lose came on before this, and Duckman was after this.
Yeah. They would air the reruns for Parker Lewis for sure. I remember that. But I don't remember. I just remember like Ectasis like passing out.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to see here what happens, but that's hilarious. We just forgot. Oh, that's what happens. Yeah. So they do come in. They basically Gary and Wyatt like come in and try to stop them, and Doctor Exorcist is he still has some shit up his sleeves because he pulls out two voodoo dolls and like smashes them together, takes them out again. Now they're gone basically for the rest of the episode, and then this is how they get out of it because after that, Mr. Cabeza shows up and is like, "Oh, hey, Tommy," which is the exorcist's name. And the guy's like, "Oh, wait, you were my shop teacher. Mr. Cabeza,
That's
you were
right.
my
Yeah.
shop teacher. And Miss Petulia, you were some other teacher I had. You guys were the best." And then he stops, Steve. That's all it took.
Yeah. I have you guys to thank for everything. You've made me into the man I am today. And it's like, bro, you could have kept that one to yourself. Don't blame us.
Yeah, you went to see Tank Girl and just created this whole thing afterwards. So everything's cool. The ghosts, they're gonna hang out still. Very Beetlejuice ending. But then we cut to the credits, Steve, because Lisa still owes Tommy the weirdos. She still owes him a date.
For some pie.
Yeah, so they're out having some pie, and Tommy's telling her about killing bugs. Loving Satan. Typical first date stuff, but it's not going too well. But here's my thing: like, Genie, why don't you just zap out of here? You got magical powers. Why are you entertaining this?
And in 1999, WCW is airing Bash at the Beach 99 from the National Car Rental Center. Yes, I read that right. Sunrise, Florida. Who are the ad wizards who came up with this one? And as you could imagine, anticipate, yes, it's a hop of shit. The first match, Matt, Ernest the Cat Miller versus Disco Inferno. And there's a stipulation in this match. The stipulation is whoever loses cannot dance ever again. That's where we are.
Oh,
That's where we are in WCW in 99. Ernest the Cat wins. And I forgot this about Ernest the Cat Miller. He like at some point he becomes a dancer. He's like into his like Godfather of Soul. You put his like cape on, like
okay.
James Brown. It was like put his red shoes on and then he goes crazy.
But he was
Yeah.
like a Mark Marrow type, where he was just sort of like a martial artist, wasn't he? He didn't. There was
Yeah.
nothing else. That's it.
Yeah, with the like tiger print.
Who did
Yeah.
he get his pop with? Because he came out with somebody else.
I think he came out solo, man. Like
Really?
they just had a lot of people on their roster, dude.
Well, and then I mean, the next match on paper, I'm sitting here thinking Rick Steiner just by himself. I mean, I love that. I like the dog faced gremlin as much as anybody, but
Yeah.
solo dolo Rick Steiner, I don't know. But when you add in the talents of a Van Hammer on top of it, Steve, I'm out.
Van Hammer, the WCW utility man.
Van Hammer. Hey, you got to look. You could either be a guy who's in a band or a guy who hangs out with a guy who's in a band. I don't know.
Bro, David Flair is the US champ at this point, and I don't want to hear people say shit about LeBron and Bronny James. David Flair was the US champion in a promotion that had Macho Man, Sting, Sid Vicious, Kevin Nash, all of these legends. David Flair was the US champion.
I don't remember David Flair, Steve.
David Flair.
I mean, he came out with Dad, somebody named Samantha, somebody named Asia, and Double A. So, I mean, he had an entourage. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
he had some hotties, but I mean, look who his daddy is. That's
Oh, you think he's getting the offshoots?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He's getting the rejects. Yeah, send him to my boys' house. Send him to my boys' room. Whoa.
Dad, I like blondes. Okay, that's crazy. I know. I mean, Rick got all his kids in the mix. Yeah, his daughter was in WWF, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's still there. She's
See,
bad though. Charlotte's dope. And this is the No Limit era where No Limit and his crew they go up against Kurt Hennig and his West Texas Rednecks. And Conan, he's a part of the No Limit Soldiers. And he gets on the mic, and this is very pause worthy. He said, "After this, you're going to toss our salads." And I don't know if he got the full grasp of what that really means, but I don't think those are threatening words. I don't think you should ever say that to any man.
I mean, that's just a full domination move, though, Steve. I mean, if the match in fact ends with somebody tossing your salad, you've won. I guess you've won. I don't. Somebody
I mean, you
won.
definitely, yeah, the guy tossing the salad is not the winner. That's for sure.
Can I also ask? Because I'm looking at him. I'm just looking at a list here, Steve. So there's a guy that's all in the No Limit Soldiers, and I think his name's Swole.
Yes, Swole. He's a
I,
part of the No Limit Soldiers. He's like he was like one of his security guys, and he was in this mix. Man, the match sucks. This whole event sucks. From the National Car Rental, how much more could you expect from the National Car Rental Center?
but dude, Steve, Finley won a junkyard match next, Steve.
Oh, what a hop of shit that was! Oh man, and Matt, I sat through this whole event, man.
Why? You won't watch
I,
Billy Zane dick down his
I
sister in a
watched that
movie?
too. I watched that too, and at least that had Gina Gershon nipples, baby. Them nipples, them nipples. But I sat through this because I just have this undeniable knack for torturing myself. I really think that's what it is.
Can I ask also, is that Buff Bagwell with his mom behind you?
That is Buff the Stuff with Judy Bagwell. He had a boxing match with Roddy Piper, and Roddy Piper,
What?
yes, because people paid to see this at the National Car Rental Center, and like this was the match before the main event. This is the match before the main event, and like I think they were biting off that tough enough gimmick that WWE tried, but it failed over there. So why are y'all gonna do this in '99? Anyways, Judy Bagwell, I want that shirt, and she bites Roddy's ear. She gets in the match, interferes, and bites Roddy's.
Judy.
Yes, Judy is bowdy, rowdy.
I love that. I love that shirt too.
That shirt is so baller.
Yeah, dude. Damn, Judy and Buff just on a shirt like that.
And check out his gloves, Matt.
Buffy left or Buff's left. Wow, Buff's left, Steve.
I want that shirt. I want those gloves.
Well, happy birthday, Steve. Judy Bagwell's on the way with both.
Yeah, she's no longer with us. Please
Damn
don't send.
it! I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
please don't send a Judy Bagwell like that. That's a felony, brother. Like that's a couple of them. But
Well, rest in peace, Judy.
yeah, there you
God
go.
damn it.
Any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways, sir?
Shout out to Van Hammer for just living that. Is he alive, Steve?
Van Hammer is still with us.
Okay. All right. No, my shout out today, I want to re shout out something I shouted out the last episode. Shout out to Wesley Snipes, Steve. I watched the original Blade last night, and I forgot how quality of a movie that was. I don't like vampires. I don't like Steven Dorff. And both of those things are in Blade. I don't even like Chris Christopherson either, to be completely honest with you. All of those things going against it. Blade, phenomenal. It
It's
only
the first of its kind.
I mean, dude, it's honestly even before X-Men gave Marvel some cachet. that was the first one, Steve. That and Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire's. I love it. But I don't really have anything to say this week because, you know, other than how low WCW went in those last years, did they, for like the last 2 years they were doing anything? Did anything of quality come out? Because everything I'm seeing here, I mean, this is terrible, Steve.
It was all crap, bro.
This is
Like
terrible.
any quality that they did have, it went to WWF. You know, Big Show, Chris Benoit, Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko, Chris Jericho. Like all those guys were gone by this time, man. You still got Rey Mysterio.
But they're putting in a pay-per-view Fit Finley mid-card.
In a junkyard
Finley,
match.
I don't give. I mean, the junkyard thing. I can only assume that was a big old fucking mistake. But Fit Finley,
Dog.
yeah, dude. I'm all for letting He looked like he was a dwarf that they gave like a growing potion to. You know, he looked like hardcore Holly if you shrunk him. Actually,
if he drank like natural ice. Yeah, dude. At the National Car Rental Center. I hate that name. I hate, like, who did that? Just why?
It's just all it's a bunch of mistakes, but I just don't get how it, like, the degrade of WCW happened. It was almost like it happened overnight. They flew so high, and then Buff Bagwell boxing Roddy Piper with his mom.
Yeah,
what
dude.
the fuck, dude?
It's insane, dude. It's just like,
God
who's writing this shit, man? But for me, all I got, man, is in 1991, 90210 was airing Beach Blanket Brandon, and the sister, she breaks up with Dylan. She breaks up with Dylan because there's a pregnancy scare, and like she ends up not being pregnant, but the scare led her to breaking up with Dylan, and I hate that for Luke Perry. He didn't deserve that.
He didn't even do anything.
You got cool points for being with him, Brenda. That's your name, Brenda. I feel like she's the Laura Winslow of this universe. Kind of just bratty and just Brenda. Yeah, I'm more of a Tiffany Amber Thiessen guy, anyways. And also, Gina Gershon's nipple, baby. Nipple, baby. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister that. Tell me, why are we so blind to see? Check out Food Show Fanatics with Matt G and Kendra, as well as Crushgasm every Wednesday with Kendra B. Our guy Clark the Shark on Podcastle. This is Steve G and Matt G with
Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the flat kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s.